Yo, what's good? It's Miles. 2020, as we can all agree, has been an insane year. Pandemics and celebrity deaths aside, I'm sure that we can all agree that the worst thing to happen in this year was when we all witnessed the death of our boy, Nate Robinson. But all jokes aside, this year has really been insane. Even though I'm sure there was some good that happened compared to the travesty that was 2020, it doesn't stand a chance. I mean, no one was prepared for the horrors that were going to occur in the coming months. But to be completely honest, we should have saw it coming. New Year's Eve, me and my boys were all chilling, waiting to call out the final numbers of the countdown, ready to kick off this historic year. We all talked about how 2020 was going to be our year since we were graduating next year and it held promise. The ball dropped and we celebrated. But for some reason, something just felt off. Like maybe we thought something more grand would happen, like Superman would fly down from the sky or something. I figured that maybe it was just because I was getting older and New Year's just wasn't going to have the same appeal or same effect anymore. I mean, a decade had passed by. Like, I wasn't 5 anymore, I was getting older. So I just put it into the back of my mind and I left it there. I took it as a sign of maturity, but boy was I wrong. It was like the calm before the storm. And then it hit.
Good afternoon from New York. We're coming on the air with breaking news, very sad news to tell the sports world. The LA Times is reporting that retired Los Angeles Lakers basketball star Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash.
It's crazy how your world can change in a matter of seconds. I was in the shower when it happened, happy to be home from work, and I got out to about 20 notifications from my friends saying Kobe had died. Obviously, I had to do my fact checking to make sure. But even when I saw the confirmed news, I still couldn't believe it. I was devastated, numb, and angry all at the same time. We had just lost Juice WRLD a couple months back, and now Kobe, he wasn't supposed to die. Kobe was that symbol of strength and determination and grit that everyone looked at. I can't tell you how many times my father, when I come to him with a problem or I was upset about something I couldn't do, he would always tell me that same Kobe story over and over and over. He stood as a figure for some people that anything could be accomplished. And right then and there, like All Might from My Hero Academia, it was like Kobe's fists fell from the air. The world stood still for a couple of days. I remember my usually loud and rowdy house was quiet and gray. It was almost like humanity was holding its own funeral. And with that event, it kickstarted the world into chaos. I mean, we had a new disease going around the world, soon to take its landing in the US. Half of Australia was on fire for God knows what, and now we find ourselves in March. Now, for me personally, I was just trying my hardest to tune these things out and live my best life. I mean, I was working at my first job. I just got my license. I was having the time of my life in school because my class schedule had a better lineup than the 2017 Warriors team. Basically, to sum it up, I was being ignorant, like I always had. But I feel like every person around my age was trying to do the same as well, because we weren't used to this. We had never really seen so many bad events take place in such a short period of time. But also, it had never really affected the majority of teenagers directly, so I had just put it off. But regardless of what I could do, it was gonna find me. And boy, did that junk catch us lacking. And just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, 2020 doubled the pressure. The date was March 18th, 2020. I was in my 6th period class, chilling with the bros once again, playing games on the computer, when the announcement came on the loudspeaker. They issued that the school was going to close for a couple weeks due to the corona outbreak that had occurred some months before. But now, it was going to make its way into the US. Now, even though we were all happy and excited to get these few weeks off from school, I think this is one of the first times that I, as a person, had experienced real global fear. And I know you might say that I should be scared of other things, but I mean, I grew up in a nice area, so I mean, cut me some slack. I watched a movie growing up called Contagion with Matt Damon and Lawrence Fishburne. It's a great movie. You should go watch it. It has a lot to do with what's going on now, but that's not the point. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but in this movie, almost exactly like the way all this corona stuff unfolded is exactly how it happened in the movie. So, like any idiot, such as myself, would think, I was preparing for the worst. I mean, I know it's a stretch, but as soon as I saw niggas going into combat for bathroom utensils, I started taking notes on Fallout 4 because I thought the world was gonna explode right then and there. I knew it was over. Nah, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, shit was going to hell real fast. 2 weeks went by and I got the most probably confusing news I could have ever hoped for. School was canceled for the rest of the year and the rest would be completed online. Now this is probably the most confusing news, like I said, I ever got, because a normal person would look at this and say, no, hey, you should be happy. It sucks having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and get on a crowded bus and watch the hot Cheeto girl obliterate Takis at 7 a.m. But it's not that. Yes, I resented those things about school, but I realized that having to get up and go to school and talking to my friends and chilling in class is the part that I was gonna miss. I was having the best school year of my life, and I got it taken away by an instant by a small little virus that had decided to take its talents to the US. And right there, even though I didn't realize it then, was gonna be the start of my mental troubles and how quarantine affected me. And this is really what I wanted to touch on, but I gotta provide some kind of backstory. Now, before this time, I never really known how much some of the other things in my life had affected the way I did things and acted. You see, now I had time to sit and think about things, because playing video games and listening to trap music is fun, but it has its limitations. During the quarantine, which is spanning from April till now, I found myself getting bored from the music I usually found entertaining, bored from the usually games I usually found fun, and I realized one thing. Quarantine was forcing me to do and think about things I didn't usually think or do. And that might just be because of my personality. I'm very to myself, and I spend most of my time either chilling in my room watching anime, playing video games, or working out. So I had months to self-reflect by myself. I found myself having no emotion at times, day in and day out doing the same thing over and over. It takes its toll. I started to think about myself and what overall purpose was I going to have in life. It left me to think about my future, which I didn't really want to get into yet. It left me looking at the things I really wanted in my future life instead of the material objects I had right in front of me. And I realized that school is just like that movie that you watch and you don't understand it until the very end. You see, school, and like that movie, you see the real value of it in the end. The value that school gives us as kids. Even though at the time we were annoyed because, or you might have been annoyed because you had a 5-paragraph essay to write, it keeps us occupied and stress-free of the things that adults and people older than us have to think about later in life. Now this is just in my case, because when quarantine happened, I was a junior, and I lost the second half of my junior year. So, and then even now I'm not attending school for obvious reasons, and it looks like I'm going to lose my whole senior year as well. It messed me up mentally because I realized all my happiness was coming from the everyday life nature, the wake up, go to school, talk to your crush, talk to your homies, go to work, everyday life. And when I got all that taken away from me, and now I'm sitting at home wondering if I'm going to survive these next couple months, because who knows what this pandemic can turn into. And I realized how simple my life was, because it was like, if that's the only thing that's making me happy. And then I realized that everyday life was the reason I was happy. I had nothing I could turn to. Now you might say, Miles, wait, you still had your family with you, right? You could still just go talk to them. Sadly, that was out of the option as well. I'm not going to get into the whole situation of what living with my father was like, but let's just say it was not good. So I had no type of family to turn to, and I was dealing with a lot of stress. So it wasn't the best situation to be in. I feel like a lot of people, and I'm singling out the youth because I am in fact a young adult, but a lot of the youth was balancing their self-worth. I know that I had previously had a problem with depression, and quarantine just opened that wound back up for me. I feel like a lot of other kids as well are dealing with the same thing. One of my best friends had just got his heart broken before quarantine started, and sitting and doing nothing at home for 4 straight months was probably the last thing he would have wanted. Even if you don't deal with depression or anything like that, quarantine was sure to have some type of effect on you. But now, 7 months down the line, I realized that it was actually a blessing in disguise. Yeah, the first half of it sucked, but I have to say now, I'm a better person than I ever would have been if this had never happened. During quarantine, I decided that I needed to work on myself. I asked myself, what flaws do I have that can be fine-tuned so that when I come out, I can come out of quarantine transformed into a better man. And I know that might sound cringy, but once you reach a certain maturity, you start to think about what type of person you want to become and what type of life you want to lead. And quarantine gave me that. It gave me that time to actually dissect my character. During quarantine, I realized who my real friends were. And also I found out that you can't trust everyone. Even your own blood family will turn on you. All this aside, It's like that saying, you can grow up in a couple of days. And for me, it was those 7 to 8 months of quarantine. Granted, yes, it's still going on. It's not over yet, but I realized I still have so much more room to grow. I finally started YouTube, which I always wanted to do, but I never did. I'm doing a podcast with my best friends. I'm working on some music. I'm taking courses. Like, there's a lot going on right now. And I feel like none of this would have ever happened if Corona and 2020 in general didn't occur. I strengthened bonds with people that I can now call my real family. And I can finally say I'm happy. After the depressing hellhole that was these last couple of months, I'm truly somewhat back to that happiness that I was at before. Yes, I still have things I have to tackle, but these obstacles are going to be the defining factor that are going to make me develop as a person. And you, yes, you who's watching the video right now, are you telling me you would have been the same person you are today if quarantine didn't happen? Even if you didn't know it yet, you probably are making some steps towards whatever goal you're working towards, be it, in my case, like finding happiness, or something simple like working out more. Whatever it is, I promise you that you made a step. It's crazy how a year ago, if you would have asked me if I would be listening to something other than rap music, I would have told you heck no. But now I've expanded my music taste to other genres. I listen to other things, and if that ain't character development, I don't know what is. So as 2020 comes to an end, and we can finally get a much needed Christmas break, we can finally kiss this trash heap of a year goodbye. Now I know there are a lot of things that I didn't touch on in this video, but I mean, the main topic wasn't 2020 the year. It was just about the mental challenges and struggles that me and I'm sure millions of other teenagers had. So if you came to this video looking for a 2020 timeline, I'm sorry, but at least you made it to the end, right? So it must have been somewhat interesting. Now there's some things I wanted to touch on. Like I mentioned, me and my friend Jaden and Josh have a podcast. You should really go listen to it. It's freaking hilarious. Talk about music, video games, just pop culture in general. So you should really go check that out. And it's also on my boy Jaden's channel. Go check out his content. He makes amazing, very in-depth videos. Also, I'm making a Discord. So I'll just leave the links to the podcast in the Discord in the description down below. Go check those out. Also, let me know if you like this video in the comments. This is my first speaking video, so I just want to know what I can improve on and such. Just leave a comment, it'd be much appreciated. So I have a lot more content coming out for you guys, like story times and all that. I don't have the best equipment right now, but I will get better at editing and all that. I just started this, so I'm not going to be the best at it, but I appreciate the support from you guys. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next vid.